Good morning. I'm Audrey. I'm a member of the Westminster Church Choir, and I also chair the committee which is in charge of the Skinner pipe organ restoration, which is taking place throughout all of this year. And if you look over here, this is our organ chamber, and in the chamber there were 2,069 pipes of all sizes and materials, some metal, some wood. In January of this year, all of the pipes were removed, and we have completely renovated this chamber in order for it to be lighter, brighter, to improve the sound of the organ. And over the past couple of months, some of the parts of the organ have come back from the Kerner and Merchant Organ Factory in East Syracuse. And you'll see that there are stacks here of boxes, all parts of the organ. And gradually these will be reinstalled in the same position that they were in. And let's just come up here because you'll be amazed to see all of the pipes kept in crates.
Oh, wow.
Okay, over on this side, these gray pipes are all parts of the air system. There's, in the basement, a huge bellows which pumps air up through 2 stories into first large and then smaller and smaller pipes and into each of the ranks of pipes. All of these crates contain pipes which are arranged in what we call ranks, and they go into smaller parts called wind chests. So you see the holes in the wind chests, those would all have pipes placed into them. So it's quite a complicated process of trying to put everything back together. The pipes have been re-leathered at the Kerner Merchant Factory. The leather is what controls the pitch, the amount of air that goes through a pipe. And because the organ was originally installed in 1926, and it is now 95 years old, the leathers tend to dry out and to change the sound of the organ. So once it's reinstalled, we're going to have essentially a brand new organ.
This is the choir room, and this is where the choir rehearses, usually on Wednesday evenings. And this is also where the bells rehearse. These tables here are usually where I have them set up so that we can rehearse the handbells. Here's one of the handbells, and the smaller the bell, the higher the pitch. And then there's several cases over here that have the rest of the handbells in them. Oh, excuse me.
I'll just show the handbells.
Okay, and then these little plastic little guys, they're called boom whackers. And the same thing, the longer the tube, the deeper or lower the pitch. And the shorter the tube, the higher the pitch. Usually the kids play the boom whackers. They sound kind of cool. That's how you play those. We also have little handbells for the kids. We keep them over here. And we have other rhythm making instruments underneath the table. And because we need to make room for all the parts of the organ, that's why everything is in a little bit of a disarray right now. Plus the fact we haven't been able to use the room since the pandemic started. And so this is the choir room. We keep our robes in a little closet there. And then we have several filing cabinets for handbell music. And then these cabinets here for choir music. And as you can see, there's more cabinets over there. So there's a ton of music. So this is the choir room.
Hello, I'm Reverend Patrick Geary, the pastor here at Westminster Presbyterian Church, and we're standing in our social room where a lot of our adult education happens here, though much of it also happens elsewhere out in the community or virtually as well. It's very important to us that we not only gather together as a people, but we are being enriched, we are growing in our faith and providing opportunities for Christian education and spiritual formation. And so we try to offer an array of that for our adults, including once a month this year, we are doing a journey through the Bible. And so adults will have an opportunity, along with our younger people, to learn about the Bible, to discover what its meaning is for us in our personal lives. We're going to be having some of those conversations right here in this social room. We have a little kitchen back there. Sometimes we also have our fellowship time here as well. It's a very cozy place, and we'll be doing that here, but we're also going to be doing it online as well and talking with you remotely. So we'll be doing a hybrid adult education hour on the fourth Sunday of every month, both in person and online. We also have a book group that meets once a month. We have a women's spirituality group called Refresh that meets once a month. We have contemplative hikes that go out into the woods in the surrounding area once a month to cultivate silence and mindfulness in our lives as we reconnect with ourselves and with God. We have a variety of other opportunities for you to be engaged and grow in your faith. And we hope that you'll consider joining one of those many opportunities here at Westminster.
If you go to the church's website, there's a history page. And the church's Westminster Church kind of is a culmination of a lot of mergers and acquisitions, you might say, going back to the 1860s. There used to be a Presbyterian church over next to, in the spot where Shine's Theater is. In the 1860s, of course, was the era of the Civil War. Great soul of John Brown, who, the whole story. And so that caused quite a kerfluffle. And he ended up leaving that congregation and starting a new congregation with about 60 people from that church and other community. And eventually it became what was known as Central Presbyterian Church, a downtown church. And they originally met in a basement. They built a basement church with hopes of building a grander structure kind of next to the courthouse, the county courthouse. But eventually they bought this lot to build a bigger building. And it took them about 20 years to raise the money to build this sanctuary. And so then, the church grew, and in the early 1900s, they raised it. The plan was to eventually build a more, what they called the narthex, in these rooms out front. And
So was this part built first?
so this part was built first,
Okay.
and if you walk through the basement areas or you get up in the attic above here, you can see, how they built on it. But this building was actually started in the 1860s, 1869, I think it is. And so this is the oldest part of the church, and you can see that in the basement because it was all hand dug. And then if you're down the basement underneath here, I can pretty much stand up. But the ground slopes back up to the outside walls, and there's only about this much space between the dirt and the rafters in the basement when you get to the outside walls. So it's kind of interesting. And it's really interesting up in the attic to look at how they did the stonework and to tie in the roof and everything. It's fascinating to me. But, the Tiffany window was added in the early 1900s, around the time of the semi-centennial, like I said they called it, and it was a gift from the daughter-in-law of William Seward in memory of her mother, and the inscriptions are on the window. And it's a Tiffany window. It's called the Psalm 23 window because, again, the inscription from the 23rd Psalm, you can see it at the bottom of the window. You can go up front and look.
Okay. It's a gorgeous window. I love the double rainbow.
It's one of the classic, Tiffany, it's piece of artistic grandeur when this was done. Yeah, well, he designed that whole building, the whole chapel.
My relative's last name are Willard, and I'm trying to look into if there's a connection.
But if you see pictures or visit other spots where Tiffany did work like this, there's a symmetry of water, mountains, sky, trees. He used this kind of platform.
It's amazing how different it looks close up than when I'm sitting in the pews. It's gorgeous. Oh my goodness.
So about 10 years ago, this was restored. They took it apart completely and took it out to recondition all the elements that hold it together, and they cleaned it because over 100 years there's layers of glass sandwiched close together, and there was a lot of dirt and grime that filtered in there over the decades, and so they cleaned it. And so today it is so much more vibrant in color.
It's like wow.
And brightness. For those of us who've been here a long time, when they put it back in, it was like, wow, somebody turned on the lights,
Is that like to the outdoors? Is that like the light shining through?
That's all natural light
wow.
coming through it. And of course, as the sun moves more toward the west, it will catch a little more brilliance because of the direct sunlight.
Hi, and welcome to the Worship Center. My name's Miss Noel, and this is where we come to spend time with God. The children that come in here are ages 3 to 8, and let me show you around. The children sit on the circle to hear a story, and our story are told these beautiful handcrafted wooden pieces. And after each story, the children have time to tell us how they feel about the story or what they're still wondering about the story. And from there, we do a little meditative time where they can choose a craft to work on or build with blocks, and it gives them time to reflect on the story. Following that, we read our Bible, and the kids know that every story we hear in here comes from the Word of God. So we find the scripture and we read it together. We say a prayer together, and then each child gets their blessing before going on. They get a blessing and say, go out to your school and be blessed, have a blessed week, and they're encouraged to take what they learn in here with them and spread it around. And we have a good time in here. And we do more than just stories in the Worship Center. Once a month, we have an extended hour where we learn more in depth about the Bible stories. We have time to do our read-alouds during that time and more crafts. We also have a library in here that all the children are encouraged to take from and bring home so they can read the stories with their families. And we also do outings. About once a month, we try to go out in our community and have fun and fellowship together and be a good example to everyone about how the Westminster kids worship and how kind they are and loving. And we really like to go out in the community together as well.
Well, welcome to the basement. We have a lot of interesting things going on down here. On the third Saturday of every month, we do projects, and we can, when you're out and about and you need to wash up at the end of the day, we have our nice restroom that was just redone.
Wow.
So you don't have to go up through the church and then have to clean it for Sunday. We have outside access. And then we have all the workings of the church. We have all our storage. For some reason, we have water in the basement that is coming from the far side. We have our nice boiler, and you can tell by these here parts, they wear out. So we have to get people in to repair them, but we have to know about them. So our biggest job in the basement, in the work program, is to know what is wrong. You know, if we don't know it, we can't fix it. So, and then we have a lot of our space to work. We have the nice workroom where we can, do a lot of projects and do some minor repairs. And so if you need a rope or a piece of string, or you need electrical cord, and then you get into the depths of the church. You have the underside of the sanctuary. It goes to full length. And then we have to maintain this. We got to, there is some mold that we have to take care of, but it's natural. It just is on the limestone walls, and it gets into the sand, and so we have to maintain this, and we got to maintain all the electric and all the new technology that's coming down. And we are going to take out all the old technology and put all new technology. So all these, you have two strands that are electric that are going to go away and be normal wires. Right now that's for the sound system, and we've got to update that. That's the reason why sometimes we have problems upstairs. And we have a lot of projects in the works. We have cutting the grass every single week. This summer was worse than others because we didn't have that dry spell. We had the water, and then we had the heat, and then we had the water, and the grass kept growing. So we have to maintain it and maintain the edging, and so there's a lot of work here.
Welcome to the Education Building. If you turn around, you're going to see a room Patrick just came out of, and that is the administrator's office. If you've ever called here and a cheery voice, Melanie, has welcomed you and helped you with anything, this is her office. So she's kind of I think she's kind of the heart of our congregation, or our business side of our congregation. And if you come down this way, we just brought out what we call the coat tree, which is free coats for anybody who comes in at once. And then this is our conference room. And for instance, tomorrow night, session will be meeting in here. Those of us who come in person, others will be by Zoom. We have a brand new, lovely space here. It's kind of a library, meditation, quiet room for people.
We have 2 comfy chairs on their way.
Yep. We have kind of a secret room here. This is the storage of all of the costumes for the Christmas pageants and all that sort of thing. Oh, there. All kinds of fun stuff in here. And then we have some partners who utilize our spaces. There's a shared office over here for the Center for Dispute Settlement that does mediation for the community, and the Human Rights Commissions share an office there. This space is also used by AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, at various times during the week, and other individuals often meet here. When Patrick has a Bible study, they sometimes meet here. So it's a really multifunctional kind of room here too.
So we also have a little free library outside right there. So we store the books. We have a lot of books. People have been very generous with their donations. And so the idea is you take a book, you leave a book, and it helps spread the availability of literature to everyone. And the way it gets used quite a lot.
Oh, it does. We have to fill it at least once a week.
Yeah,
Yep.
So that's very popular. And we also have support groups that meet here to support people in a variety of hard times of their life. We have a perinatal loss support group of people who have experienced miscarriage or stillbirth or the early loss of a child. We had an elder care conversation circle. They've been dormant for a while, but that was supporting people as they cared for those with parents or spouses who might be aging and having health challenges. And we have a variety of other support groups such as AA and Al-Anon that you mentioned, Susan. And I'll take you down here. You can show you my pastor's study. I'll warn you, it's messy, but this is where I work. And this is where I do every Wednesday at 7 p.m. we have a Facebook Live evening devotional service. And so I do that right here with my mic and my camera, and I run everything right from this spot. This is where pastoral care happens. So if someone just needs to talk to the pastor, pray with the pastor, they're going through a hard time, or a great time and just need some spiritual counsel, this is where they'll come and we'll sit together and I will listen and we will share in love and in faith together. And this is also during the week, Monday through Friday. Our church office is open from about 8:45 in the morning to about 2:45 in the afternoon. And you can come here if you have questions, if you need. Every week, I often see people who just walk off the street in need of help. Sometimes rental assistance, sometimes utility assistance, connecting with food pantries, soup kitchens, DSS, or other resources in the community. So we do that here. We give out bus passes, full comprehensive support to people who are struggling in one way or another. And all of that will happen here as we try to love our neighbor as best we can.
Welcome to the Youth Forums and Reach. What we have in this room here is something we've been doing for about 2 years, and then we lost a year for COVID. But this is our room where we do our youth forums. Our youth forums are a little different than a typical Sunday school. What we do, instead of having a lecture type, what we do is we sit down and gather in a circle and we discuss some Bible topics, and then we talk about them. Get the children, the youth's input, and how they feel about it. The other thing we do with this room, it's a multi-purpose room. So besides using this on Sunday, we also use it sometimes on Fridays. So when we have events for families, game nights, a movie night, anything like that. The other thing we're going to be doing starting in October is going to be something called Pride House. Pride House grew out of a relationship between Westminster and the Q Center about 2 years ago. And then because of COVID, we kind of lost touch. But we're bringing this back under our own vision of Pride House, which will be partnered with Q Centers 2 times a month on Thursdays. But we will be doing programming every Thursday, and that will be either in the form of the Q Center or our own programming, which will go for 3:30 to 6:30. So it might be either just a drop-in or drop in some kind of program. And this Pride House is for LGBTQ youth, 13 to 18 years old, that they have a place that they can come and just feel comfortable being themselves and have some services and programs offered.
Hello again. I'm going to take you around our second and third floors of our education building. Right now, this is the way we try to provide some accessibility. So this is a chair lift, so if someone uses a wheelchair or has difficulty with steps, we have this to be able to get up to the second floor. We are in the process, in fact, we've had some studies done to explore putting in a lift or an elevator. It's a very expensive, challenging process, but we are exploring that because inclusivity is a commitment here. Over next door, the church building, we do have a ramp and everything is fully accessible. We have a ramp on the first floor as well, but we're still working on the second and third floors. Now, up until recently, these floors were primarily populated by Merry-Go-Round, or the Rev, the theater company, and they had all their offices here with their staff. And as you can see, those have now been vacated. They've relocated to a more modern place. They were here for more than 40 years. And we were very thankful for them, but we also understood their need for a larger, more modern space. So now we are currently dreaming and exploring how we are going to utilize this space for community service, for our own ministry, and we would love to hear from you, your ideas. Of course, some of this space you might be familiar to you already. This is our junior room. We sometimes would have Sunday school or other things in here. This is where we have our Maundy Thursday service, gathering in an upper room before Good Friday. And other events will be here. AA sometimes meets in here as well. This is our newly refurbished kitchen. And we have used this for some of our hunger ministries and culinary classes that we have offered children to teach them how to make wonderful, nutritious food for themselves and connect that with their spirituality. We use this for other fellowship community events. And then we have our great hall where we gather for large community events, where we've used this for honors for scouts, for other events for the community, for forums and learning opportunities. And this is a wonderful, versatile space. There are lots of interesting offices back here, many of which we hadn't seen. Many people in the church hadn't seen in many decades because they had been occupied. And now we get to imagine how we're going to use all this space to try to make a difference in our community and to further the ministry of God. bathrooms on every floor. And I'll take you up to our 3rd floor. We're in the process of doing various restorations. We've refurbished the floor, and we're going to be refurbishing all these offices, many of which haven't been touched in decades. You come up here to the loft that overlooks the Great Hall. This was all storage for the Rev, but now we have this space back again, and can use this how we need. Great suite of offices back here. Could be classrooms, could be offices for community nonprofit organizations, social justice organizations. We already have a number of organizations that meet at Westminster. The NAACP meets here, the Human Rights Commission meets here, the Hunger Task Force meets here and was founded here with the support of the church, and a variety of other nonprofits. Seward House Board often will meet here. And more offices and space, all located downtown. We also will be exploring whether there's any commercial opportunities here to bring in some money for the church. Now, we're going to walk over the archway. So if you look out the window, you can see that we're going to walk right over the arch, so over the road that separates the church building and the education building. And we're going to be back where we started this tour, back here with the organ. It all connects. Back to the sanctuary. And I can also show you the rose window. That's out of the front of the church. There's stained glass. And here we are at the front of our church building, facing William Street with our rose window up there. And our other stained glass window that you will see lighting up the night when you drive by the church or walk by the church at night. It's especially beautiful around Christmas time. And of course, you'll see many more items from the organ that are being refurbished. Normally, much of the area that you have seen this morning is usually cleaner and more organized, but we are in the process of reorganizing. Another bathroom and the door to the Coil Room, and then steps that lead down to the sanctuary building. So that's it. That's the church here. Lots of life happening every day here. Ministry, service to those who are in need, service to those who are seeking God, and it is our joy to be a loving community together.